Charles, our thumbnail image today features captain of the USS...
Stupid.
Yes. Vituperous is the word I was thinking of. It's Commander Dumb Joe Biden. There we go. I was temporarily thrown off by wondering if our friends at, what is this thing called?
Telegram?
Telegram, yes. It's working. I've figured out some of the quirks of Telegram, so we're live streaming on Telegram now. Been an amazing onslaught of social engineering against Crowdsource the Truth since I published a video containing evidence that made various revelations about a former DHS employee, Nasty Nina.
I saw her actually on the train, on a poster.
Yeah, okay.
No, seriously.
Wanted?
No, close. There's this musical called Wicked, and the star of it actually, I thought it was Nina. She got a new job. Or maybe she's always done both.
Yeah, she could have that job. She is quite wicked. But there's an effort underfoot to absolutely destroy Crowdsource the Truth. Luckily, people can still watch us on Crowdsource the Truth 7, Crowdsource the Truth 8, the Sunday with Charles YouTube channel, Telegram, Rumble, Odyssey, etc., etc., etc. And I've noticed, Charles, social engineering on Rumble now. So what's happening is, as these alternative platforms start to gain traction and people realize they can see Crowdsource the Truth on there, the social engineering is shifting to these other platforms. And it's easy to see fake names saying things like, oh, you know, this shouldn't be behind a paywall, Jason shouldn't be charging for this. And it's an obvious social engineering tactic, because everybody who watches this show now realizes that it's one thing if I was a real estate agent or a lawyer and I was making videos to promote my business, but when you do this every day for 5 years, there's no way that all of this content can be available for free, because I would go broke and have to do something else. So sensible people have realized that, and I've now been developing new techniques to identify positively that these people are social engineers, and I'm seeing the activity in Rumble now, so I'm a little concerned about that. It also reminded me that I wanted to talk to you some more about 2,000 Mules.
Right.
Let's take a little walk around. It's a beautiful day today.
But we don't want to gloss over the poster, which is...
Oh, well, right, yes. But this is the vituperative,
I think.
Well, I don't even really know, but he's worthy of blame.
He's a viper.
Joe Biden, and we have a new Buzz Lightyear. Whoa, look at Marmaduke.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I would say, I mean, I remember Carter, not fondly. We've told the story about when he came to Yale, when the peanut farmer came to Yale looking for money. And I was just a student, and nobody would have breakfast with him. Nobody wanted to have breakfast, period, but nobody certainly wanted to have breakfast
Biden-esque.
with him. And so somebody dragooned me into going to breakfast with a man, and he was so boring. I mean, I nearly left in the middle of the breakfast, but I figured that would be incredibly rude.
Maybe,
yeah. And later, you know, it was a pretty high honor the guy was given. I don't think he was then governor. I think he had been governor. He was running for president.
Was he the governor of Georgia?
He had been at one point, the governator. But he was so crass as to, instead of a thank you note for, you know, back to the person who organized this Chubb Fellowship.
Peanut butter?
You know, he scrawled something on the back of a form letter asking for a contribution to his political campaign. It was like ridiculous. But anyway, how did we get talking about that?
Well, because I was watching an interview this morning with David Rubin and Dinesh D'Souza about 2,000 Mules.
Right. No, I'm sorry to do this to you again, but I brought up Carter because, you know, for me, as a voting age person, Carter was so repulsive.
Wow.
That's not easy to do.
No, that's got to be some trick with the tire. I mean, how is this working?
Oh, if you want a picture, let's
see. Look, no, there's some pipe
it's a flat
going
tire.
down.
Yeah.
See, there's a hole. In the
I see it.
manhole.
I see it.
So there's obviously some steel pipe holding him there. Or something.
Right.
Wait, do we want to? Let's circulate around
Okay.
before we leave the park and see what other weird stuff is going on. So Jimmy Carter.
So he was really everything was negative with him. You know he remember he went on a let's go into nature and be a Teddy Roosevelt.
I was a little kid when he was president, so I don't remember too
right.
much other than Saturday Night Live making fun of him when he became gigantic. Dan Aykroyd played Jimmy Carter at 3 Mile Island.
No, he tried to channel his inner Teddy Roosevelt, and he went to some state park, and you could Google it if you don't believe me. A rabbit attacked him.
Oh yeah,
the killer rabbit.
I remember that. You told me about it, and I did Google it.
Yeah.
That's like straight out of Monty Python.
And so then we get Ronald Reagan. You can say what you want about Ronald Reagan, but he had a sense of humor. And
good presenter, yes.
Very good presenter, and he was always positive. I mean, here's a guy who in his 70s, I think it was in his 70s, he was shot by Hinckley, who was just let out.
Yeah.
Let out, rather.
And also Peter Navarro was in Hinckley's jail cell.
Right, there's no coincidence there.
Why did they do that? Well, we'll talk about him later today, but it's almost like you've got a New Orleans-style jazz band over there, Charles.
Right.
I like it.
And then we have somebody at the beach. But in Joe Biden, the man is so freaking negative, right? Everything about him is negative. Remember in the winter, get used to a very dark and dangerous.
Yeah.
You've got something on your face there.
Like a bug, right?
Big one, yeah.
Yeah, I just brushed it away, didn't I?
No, yeah.
Well, it's back.
That's unusual.
Okay, it's gone.
So everything, all of his comments are really negative, and when you try to challenge him, it's always, "Come on, man, you ain't black."
Good luck on your trip to the moon, Elon Musk. Stupid Joe Biden, and this is another reason why I chose to use this buzzkill all year. He doesn't know the difference between the moon and Mars, Charles.
And I was out of the city last night, as you know, and I was off the internet for a while. But when I checked, apparently some plane came close to Joe Biden's
and they had to
beach mansion.
evacuate him with Marine One. That would be the White House military office.
Mr. Magoo was flying over him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously the White House military office is functioning because they control that Marine One helicopter. And no one is operating it, so who is in charge of evacuating him when planes come by?
And did he was on Marine One?
Well, isn't that the helicopter that whenever
he took a helicopter out of there?
Well, yeah, that's what they showed in the photo. It's Marine One. Is the helo, the bird.
Right, but that, I don't. If you have your own company or you're a very skilled professional, everybody
even control of your own faculties.
Right. I don't begrudge somebody taking a lot of time off, basically because I've taken about 20 years off since July of 2002. But
we, the people, haven't hired you to do anything.
Right. But actually, I suppose we should be happy that he's taking so much time off. Because imagine if you were in meetings at the White House, how much more screwed up.
I was going to say, it's just less time screwing stuff up.
Right. But anyway, so your tribute to Buzzkill all year, I think, is quite appropriate. And honestly, I think I mentioned that Nick Brady, who was the chairman of Dillon Reed when I was there, for the bulk of the time I was there, when he went off to work with H.W., your favorite Bush, it fell to him to kind of, according to the book that he wrote, it has a very limited circulation, it fell to Nick to stand up to George H.W. Bush and say, listen, dude, you're going in the completely wrong direction here on this issue. You need to change course. I don't think there is anybody in the Biden White House who can do that. I don't even think Jill Biden can do it.
No, I tell you, after reading this book, How to Get Rid of a President, I'm convinced they want to keep an incompetent president in position. And that's the purpose of Joe Biden, is to enable this. Look at that, NYU campus safety going right through, almost running these girls over. NYU campus danger.
Let's see.
But they want to keep an incompetent Joe Biden in there so that they can have their secret Politburo controlling everything, telling him, he's going to get in trouble if he talks about this or that. But let me drop this little Dinesh D'Souza thing on you here. So Dave Rubin, he's mostly broadcasting, I think, on Rumble, and he also started Locals, in part because of all the censorship that's going on, and obviously Dinesh D'Souza has been subjected to that.
Right.
It's just super interesting how, you hear about these guys, Brett Kimberlin and Alexei Navalny, who are arrested for what appeared to be legitimate crimes, and then they say, they're political prisoners. And then Dinesh D'Souza gets thrown in jail for some real long time for some kind of $20,000 problem with a campaign contribution.
Right.
But that's not a political prisoner. These people from January 6th, those aren't political prisoners. Dinesh was speaking with Dave Rubin about his movie, 2,000 Mules.
Right.
And, there is an investigation that's been opened in Arizona by the sheriff into ballot harvesting. And this came up in the conversation, and Dinesh D'Souza mentioned that the sheriff said specifically that the investigation was not triggered by the movie, which Dinesh D'Souza said, in contrast to what you might presume, he liked that because it indicated that evidence other than what he had presented was leading this sheriff to do this investigation. And they spoke about a lot of really compelling evidence, and we'll see what happens there.
Well, I saw another report that apparently 20 million people have watched
Maybe
2000, and in one poll, not obviously 20 million, but one sub-sample poll, I read that 77% of the people who had watched it thought it was entirely convincing.
Right.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it.
Well, and that's the other thing I wanted to address, because I fully support Dinesh D'Souza's right and need to earn money for doing something like that. I mean,
Sure.
Ooh, look at that Cadillac, Charles.
It's your kind of car.
It's like an Eldorado.
It is.
But obviously, people need to make money, and it was just, we're coming under so much social engineering attack right now. I just want the viewers who see these kind of comments to understand what's going on. Now, Dinesh D'Souza, he's charging kind of a lot to watch that movie. I saw something that wanted $30.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little high. I mean, I'd prefer it to be kind of closer to a movie ticket price.
Which is what?
Well, right, exactly. The last time I went to the movie was like $18.50 to see the Avengers in 3D, and that was 5 years ago, so who the hell knows? But I guess that's where he's coming from.
Yeah. On the subject of prices, just briefly, I used to get periodically, I used to go to Starbucks, and I used to get a breakfast sandwich, which used to cost, I won't tell you which kind, but it used to cost
probably would hate it.
You absolutely would hate it. $3.45 2 years ago.
Cheap.
Well, now it's $4.95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's in it though? Eggs, meat?
I told you wouldn't like it, and I wasn't going to tell you what's in it, but pretty good guess.
I don't mind paying, money for particularly healthy food, and I'm not trying to dictate the prices. If Dinesh D'Souza can get $30, that's fantastic.
More power, yeah.
I just don't understand these people who are like, there may be legitimate people out there who say, I'm pissed off that it's not $2 a month to watch Jason's show anymore. But part of the problem was social engineers were coming in for $2 and blowing out the server.
Right.
There was so much watch time that it was driving up the bill like crazy. So there's a lot of ways these social engineers figure out to try to screw up anything and everything that I'm doing.
Right.
And it's going to be a constant struggle for however long I continue to try to do this. So if somebody is a legitimate viewer of the show and they don't like me, or they don't like what I do, or they don't like the cost of subscribing to Subscribestar or Patreon, the best thing to do is just stop watching. Anybody who's making a negative comment like that obviously doesn't like me or wants to terminate the show. So people need to ignore those comments.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not as busy as I expected it would be over here.
What do you think is going on? People
well,
visiting
I think
beach?
the NYU students have probably gone home. I mean, the main students, because we're well into June now. And maybe people flew away to go to the Hamptons or upstate where I was. But it's a beautiful day here.
It really is. I guess it's the start of beach season, so you're right, the Hamptons, Fire Island, even, Brooklyn, Long Island. Probably if you went to Coney Island right now, it's jam-packed.
It could be.
Maybe we should do that one time.
It's a little cold for the beach right now.
Really? It was like
70s. The water
in the
would
sun?
be very cold. Let's go down.
Yeah. So the other thing, Charles, I don't know if you saw this morning, but, Putin basically...
I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like Joe Biden, who says, we're not going to send long-range missiles. Yes, we are. Putin just says, look, if you do that, we are going to really strike back. So this morning, several missiles hit within Kiev, destroyed, according to Russia, tanks that were provided by NATO or, Ukrainian allies. And he reiterated in a video where he's sitting at a desk, not grabbing it, and closer than 6 feet to the person he's speaking to. And he looks totally healthy, speaks completely clearly, and says, if they send long-range missiles, we're going to strike other targets outside of Kiev.
Right.
Done.
Yeah,
So
Western targets, you said.
Right, and I mean, so the bottom line is, you have to be stupid to test him on that.
Well, I would say perhaps the bottom line is, where is the war authority to do this? I mean, we don't have a
To do what? To send tanks?
for the United States to be stoking a war
Right.
inside Ukraine with Russia. When did Congress really think this through? How does the War Powers Act operate in this connection? Is it even relevant? I mean, and going back here, we can look at George W. Bush, and even before him, H.W. and Clinton. There have been a lot of dangerous...
New nickname for Biden.
Yeah, that's right. Honey would not be with...
George W. Bush.
All these adventures, the drone striking that Barack Obama got addicted to, are, Biden say, I was going to send troops to Somalia. We did so well last time. I mean, at a certain point in time, shouldn't the American people say, wait a minute, we've got, as you would say, listen to me.
Yeah.
We've got $32 trillion of debt that we know about. Who knows what other debts and contingent liabilities we may have that are buried. Yeah. I'm sure that was a very important phone. No. Very important phone call, I'm sure. But anyway, and Trump, who's this supposed odious person, Orange Man bad, he took the troops back. Right, he destroyed ISIS while he was there, and now the Abraham Accords, etc. A lot of positive steps. And who's stoking tension around the world, just thinking that it's a great opportunity. But high inflation merely means it's a great opportunity to transition to a green economy. And this is the line we're getting out of it. At Buttigieg is the dumbest.
Oh yeah, Tucker Carlson wants him to resign.
Yeah, well, Buttigieg, honestly, is somebody who is, I don't know the basis upon which he was admitted to Harvard and the basis upon which he got the Rhodes Scholarship and all these other accolades, or how he got a job in McKinsey. This guy, we should maybe redo Driving Miss Daisy, Driving Miss Crazy, and we'll have.
We did that already.
I know we did it already, but in a different guise. That was, I think, Driving Hillary. We'll have Buttigieg driving Biden.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll go down Mulberry Street maybe.
Sure.
And then we can say, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street. But with regard to the conflict itself, the initial reports coming out were that the Ukrainian people had risen up and they were doing the heavy lifting. All we were doing is providing weapons, and the Ukrainians were showing us, how fearless and how expert they were. And now, and we
and New York Times have changed their mind.
Well, you and I were early on. We called mega bullshit on that early on, and people were scornful. I have some friends, actually, personal friends, who were giving me guff on.
Oh yeah, I've lost friends over that. I mean, a lot of people. I got to address this. A lot of people have been asking me, what happened to Citizens Grand Jury? And Larry and I had a major falling out over reporting on the Ukraine war. disagree fundamentally on what's going on there, and Larry's decided to carry on with the citizens grand jury without me.
Oh, that's good. But Larry Johnson actually has had a lot of
Yes.
good pieces. One today, I think. Basically,
I've been speaking with him.
have you? Good. It's getting to stay in the shade. Basically saying, he'd been saying for several weeks now that, along with that guy Doug McGregor.
And also he's been quoting Yakov Applebaum, who I don't know, but I've been reading his website lately, and it's filled with good information.
Right. Yeah, he's a longtime friend of Yakov, but works together with him. So I was very dubious, having spent as much time as I did spend in Ukraine, that the Russians would just say, "Oh, sure, we are so intimidated." The combination of Joe Biden and this actor comedian Zelensky, we better just give up. We gave away the Soviet Union. Why not give up what we got in Crimea? That's not the way they're thinking. And there was a very long piece. I tweeted it out. Somebody wrote about Soros. I sent it to you. I don't know if you had a chance to read it.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to read it. I saw it.
It's really worth reading the whole. Let's wait in the shade.
Yeah.
It's really worth reading the whole piece, because it explains that Soros began thinking that he can control the globalist system.
Currencies and stuff.
Well, he began experiment along that area in Ukraine around 1991.
What do you mean? What did he do there?
His Open Society Foundation for him, Ukraine was a test case.
Really?
He's been operating there for a long, long time.
Why did he select Ukraine? Because it was disarray after the fall of the Soviet Union.
I mean, again, if your business model is you're an investor and you want to make money when the values of securities go up and also when they go down, but ideally what you want to know is when the securities are going to move up or move down before they move up or move down. And if you start getting involved, and actually a real challenge of what is called long-short investing, where you're going, hoping they go up, hoping they go down.
It's really just a matter of knowing when it's going to do what.
Well, the real challenge is finding quality down, short side ideas, which is why my call on GE was so valuable. So when you find ideas to profit when securities go down in value, typically they're not big, right? The markets are very big.
What's not big?
What you might short, the value of it is not generally that big, because the market is, there are a lot of people assessing securities all the time. So to find an opportunity to short $1 trillion collection of assets, that's not so easy to do. GE was 900 billion when I got involved.
So is that why people want to short Tesla?
Well, I think Tesla, the back and forth with Bill Gates. Bill Gates, every day he opens his mouth now, he reinforces the idea that he is
an idiot.
He puts the M in moron, and when it comes to finance. He's quoted as saying that
shorting Tesla is not going to hurt Elon Musk, but when I looked it up, there was conflicting.
Yeah, well,
does it hurt him to short it?
Well, either Elon Musk, and I'm no expert on Tesla or Musk, but either the Tesla concept is brilliant. Excuse me. Sorry, I just got something caught in my throat. It's brilliant. And the thing is really going to do even better. And this like PayPal and others, things he's done in the past will revolutionize the
auto industry.
Well, not just auto.
Yeah,
the transportation
energy,
industry,
tunnels.
The way people live their lives, etc. In which case, it may be an example of a revolutionary suite of products and services, unlike Microsoft, that actually work.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
And
disruptive.
And it'd be one thing if Gates wanted to stay in his any one of his collection of extremely expensive carbon
burning
palaces and apartments and mansions around the world, and just shut his pie hole.
Yeah.
People would say, look, the guy doesn't give a crap about the environment. He's just a mega billionaire, and he's obviously has some explaining to do when it comes to Epstein. He's got a troubled relationship with his ex-wife and his kids.
And also Musk was tweeting about Epstein this morning. So I think he's got Bill Gates' number.
Oh, well, I hope so.
But what is your opinion? Does it hurt the stock to short it? Because most of the stuff that I read said that it encourages, it discourages investment and encourages...
No, I don't think that's right at all. I mean, first of all, I actually think the short side of the equation should be encouraged more than it is.
That's what the other articles said, is that it helps point out frauds.
Right, and the sale to the retail community, to the wider market of securities, is basically heavily tipped against the retail investor. So we think, for example, the idea that a government is doing a good job, the degree to which the federal government and other state, local governments inside this country have been buying off the media by...
Including Bill Gates doing that.
Making some, Bill Gates especially doing that, to the degree to which it's fairly easy for big companies to become important advertisers in corporate-owned media, and then start throwing their weight around, saying, look, you've gotten a taste of
Don't run that article.
Yeah, exactly. And similarly with securities, management, very few managements will get up and say, you know what, pulled a Yellen or old Yellen.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I was really wrong.
Yeah.
Very few managers are going to say that. Instead, they're going to endlessly promote the virtues of owning GE stock or this stock or whatever stock. And when you sit there and you're not really experienced, your tendency is to say, now wait a minute, these managers are paid a lot of money. Oftentimes they have to keep their bonuses in the stock of the company where they're working. They wouldn't, if they're wrong, it's going to hurt them more than it would hurt me. So why shouldn't I put money and follow Jack Welch into millionaire heaven by investing in GE? So there's a tendency, there's not enough skepticism in the investment world, and there really should be. A lot more. And so another thing is that it's technically difficult to short a stock. To short it, you have to find somebody somebody lends you the stock to short. Shorting means you sell without owning it.
Yeah.
So somebody has to lend you the stock, and the mechanism by which the stock is lent to you is expensive and cumbersome, and involves the very same conflicted Wall Street firms that may not want your short position to actually happen because they may be actually long, one way or another, heavily long, the notion that GE is a good company. Right, so they can make it difficult for you to
do what you want. So it's like gamesmanship to a certain extent.
Which is why.
Is that right?
It's definitely can be game. Gives.
Careful.
Let's keep going. We got it.
So it can be gamesmanship.
Yeah, it can be gamesmanship. There's what I had encouraged sophisticated investors to do back in 2007, 8, and 9 with GE was to forget about the stock and instead to purchase credit default swaps on the debt. And that's not for the retail investor.
Also probably too complicated to explain to...
It's basically, it's a unique insurance product that where you can purchase, in effect, insurance that gives you a payout if the company goes bankrupt.
That's like the Big Short.
It's the essence of the Big Short, yeah.
That guy bought credit default swaps, and then everyone's like, you're crazy, but gave him the money, and then he won.
Right. Which is, people did that on GE.
But on a more narrow question, see, like what you just said, Charles, if Bill Gates were asked in that interview just the other day, Elon Musk says you're a jerk for shorting his stock, and he just said, oh no, it's not going to hurt Elon Musk at all. No one's convinced by that. What you just said is a very good explanation. And like I said, when I was reading, is shorting a stock hurting the company or not, there were articles on both sides of the argument, but you've just explained it in a way that makes sense. Bill Gates does not do that. I think Bill Gates is trying to hurt Elon Musk.
Right, and the further point that I didn't kind of connect on is that Bill Gates is going around saying he's the savior of the planet, he's fighting climate change. Who's doing more to fight climate change, Elon Musk or Bill Gates?
That's what takes it outside of a purely stock finance play and into is this something that you should do, even if financially it's a great idea?
Right. Now, as far as the financials of Tesla are concerned, I haven't tried to study them closely. All I noticed was the price-earnings ratio on the stock is stratospherically high, and the value of the company, the current supposed value of every share of Tesla out there times the current price, is far greater than the value of Ford and General Motors and a whole bunch of other companies put together. So
it seems off.
It seems likely
too high.
Too high. But there's a phrase in the many industries, but it applies to short sellers. Like if Joe Biden were a short seller, he'd be this phrase. It's called a widowmaker, where you say, I think Amazon was overvalued at $75 a share, and you hold on to your short position.
Oh, but it's on like 2,000 or something.
Three,
now,
I think, yeah.
That's crazy.
So if you get it wrong,
so that could happen.
Absolutely, and that's why it's when that happens, you have to have collateral to.
Well, Bill Gates probably does.
But I'm just saying for the ordinary, that's why ordinary people don't like to get involved with shorting, because you suddenly, instead of buying, let's say, Coca-Cola, or you just pick a stock and forgetting about it and collecting your dividend checks, you don't have to watch the screen every minute. If you're short a stock, you better have somebody watching the screen every nanosecond.
Well, I think that guy got arrested for having child porn at Bill Gates'
Not that
house.
kind of.
No, that happened. Somebody who works for Bill Gates at his house got arrested for child porn.
Yeah, but I wasn't suggesting people watch child porn. They should be watching CNBC.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah. He was watching child porn, etc.
Here, welcome to Little Italy, Charles.
Mulberry Street.
Yeah.
There are a lot of very nice restaurants here.
Now, it should be getting back into full swing down here, and Sunday in Little Italy at 3, 4 o'clock is when people are kind of sitting down to...
Yeah, I mean, really, I think Saturday is a bigger day for Little Italy, right? Because, I think many Italians are... For Italians to come here, they go to church.
Well, but tourists, I would think.
But yeah, this is not that busy at all. Of course, we're kind of between, we're the tail end of a late lunch and too early for dinner.
Right.
But this is actually the time I like to come out and eat on a Sunday, or typically on a Saturday. And you can have a bad meal at many different restaurants.
Menu?
No.
Okay, salty bene. Buongiorno. What are you doing?
But before we completely move off of Elon Musk, because the other thing is, he's laying people off at Tesla,
right,
and telling people who want to work from home that they should go work somewhere else if they're not going to come into the office. Suddenly that's controversial. Could you imagine hiring somebody even 3 years ago, Charles, and then being like, I can only be in the office like a day or two a week?
Well, this kind of
wouldn't
stuff,
even be a negotiation.
Well, this kind of stuff happens, and typically at the very top of a market. So in the internet bubble, the same thing was happening. People were, there were all these people who were at Harvard Business School and Stanford Business School who, after a semester, would drop out to start balls.com or some other stupid idea. And then so many people were making quick bucks.
Smells delicious.
Yeah, this is a good restaurant.
It really smells good.
I've eaten here. It's also pretty big.
Gelso and Grant. So the top of the market, everybody is doing stupid stuff.
So when you're building a company that's, let's say, 10 to 10,000 employees or something like that, you're going to need entry-level talent every year, and it's very tough to get those people, because when I was in charge of recruiting, I actually did a study and presented it at Harvard Business School that one of the most reliable predictors of which industries you should short is to pick the industry where the greatest number of Harvard Business School graduates go in a given year. It was incredibly reliable.
Wow.
One year way back, I got out in 1980. Right before then, there was a year, I forget which one, where the largest, the company that got the most Harvard MBAs was Hilton Head. Right before Hilton Head went spectacularly bankrupt in the very beginning of the 70s.
What did that company do?
Hilton Head, resort down there in South Carolina
Oh,
in the early
I just
days.
thought it was a town. I didn't know.
No, it was. You know, a lot of times with these unusual, big real estate projects, they sound good on paper. They may have some short-term successes, but they typically expand way too fast. And that's exactly what happened with Hilton Head. Another one that was very big in the 80s was Drexel.
Yeah, I've heard of that. It went out of business, didn't it?
Yeah.
Drexel,
And then
Burnham, Lambert.
And then another one, the funny, Harvard Business School should take, in hindsight, they should force all the students and the professors to take a course in humility. Because when I was there was a guy, Michael Porter, who was, you know, he was like the business school version of Alan Dershowitz. He was everywhere, and he was, you know, he pioneered this way of thinking about competitive strategy and these different metrics and methods to take any industry apart. Sorry.
Just looking at this weird thing. So he's taking apart the industry.
And you know, he set up a firm, I think it was called Monitor, something. And he expanded all over the place. And his firm went spectacularly bankrupt. You know, here's a guy who was a tenured professor at Harvard and a supposed expert in competitive strategy.
Telling everybody what to do.
He's got a day job as a professor, and on the side, his side gig is creating this consulting firm, selling his services, and that thing goes bankrupt, and he still ended up working at Harvard
That's
Business School.
ridiculous. Yeah. And when you said that they should teach humility at Harvard,
Not just there.
Well, that sounds like the opposite of Harvard.
Well, yeah.
This is new. Tres Leches cake.
Free
the whole
milk
place
cake?
is dedicated. Well, that's a kind of pretty wet cake that's delicious, but that's a new.
Yeah.
It's a little strange to have a whole thing dedicated to one type of cake.
This is also, this and the next restaurant are also very nice. The people who might be coming down here.
It's also a cool vibe down here because it's very much like being in Europe where they have the restaurant hawkers out on the street, like, come in and eat. And like somebody's grandmother over there was trying to tell us to come over.
It's, it's Europe without the Europeans in the main. And then we can also, Father's Day is coming up, Jason. You can get your dad a nice T-shirt here.
Handbag heaven.
A nice T-shirt.
My father probably has enough T-shirts.
Fake license plate. A keychain.
Yeah, I was going to say get him a T-shirt with a pot leaf on it. Exactly what he wants. Well,
now we're drifting, and this is down here. We drift into Chinatown.
Right.
So we're proving that there always was an ancient link between China
and Italy.
That some say the pasta,
gunpowder, Marco Polo,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're in Marco Polo zone. Nice garbage here.
I was going to say, I got hit with a whiff of pizza and then a whiff of garbage.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
It really makes you want to shell out a bunch of money and come here and get in a taxi with a rude driver, go to your hotel, be treated poorly, go to your room, find it it's dirty, make sure you have insurance or enough money so that when the bill comes from your hotel with all the extras and taxes, that you don't have a heart attack.
The other thing that I wanted to tell you about, Charles, well, I actually already told you, but I want to tell you on camera so everybody else knows. I was talking to John Mark Dougan this morning.
Right.
He's been put on an assassination list by the Ukrainian government. There's a whole release.
Wow.
Like with the seal and everything, accusing him of being, a Russian propagandist and violating the laws about saying, that there's Nazis and that the Azov battalion, that's against the law, according to Zelensky.
Zelensky needs to get back to comedy.
Well, but they're calling to assassinate Dougan.
Yeah, that's outrageous. And how are we, in effect, subsidizing that?
Right, because they're sending all the money to them. Right. I mean, I don't think that's cool.
Yeah.
The FBI already tried to kill Dougan.
Well, I think the idea that we could, for Joe Biden to do this, it won't be surprising because he's such a dumbass. But at the same, he could say.
This woman smiled when you said Joe Biden is a dumbass.
But
actually, I smiled at this whole concept.
Oh, okay, good.
So
I figured you must be from out of town, though. That's a good thing.
So
What is that?
I don't know.
Fresh
Is that
rambutan.
sea urchin? What is that?
Oh, is this thing that smells horrible but tastes good? There's some sort of Asian fruit that you were not allowed to eat in the airport
Is that right?
because it stinks so badly. This was in Thailand, and Cullen was telling me, "Oh, look, these might be from New Zealand." Yes.
Sweet. What are those?
Yeah, these are from New Zealand. You should never eat a kiwi that is not from New Zealand. But anyway, whatever this fruit is called, Cullen was telling me it's a big problem in the airport because people want to eat it and it stinks and you get in a lot of trouble.
Right. So just back for a second though on Biden. Here we have, we're all in supporting Ukraine with in Zelensky, somebody who's outlawed the opposition parties,
Who wants to kill journalists?
kill journalists. There are serious, credible questions about the source of his wealth and his wife's wealth, which is not a shock in Ukraine because that's how they roll. On the one hand, we want to prop this dictator up. On the other hand, until we needed their oil, Joe Biden said in 2019 he was going to make Saudi Arabia a pariah state for what happened to the journalists.
Well, Khashoggi, he
Khashoggi.
was actually not a journalist,
Right, well,
jihadi.
the supposed journalist. But on top of which, even though we in theory have a problem with the way he was treated, the United States has been supporting Saudi Arabia in a bloody assault against the
Yemen.
Yemeni people, which has been going on now for, I think, more than 5 years.
And to be fair, Trump participated in that as
Right.
well. I
Yeah.
did not appreciate that. But in an interesting turn, they just announced yesterday that Biden's trip to Saudi Arabia is going to be delayed until July, which sounds to me like Saudi Arabia told him to go pound sand. And by the way, summertime is the big time of year where people go on vacations and drive around and use a lot of gas. So if he's going to wait till July to even talk to them about pumping more of it, how the hell does that help anybody? Now, what is that? To keep flies away from the fish? Gotta be.
That's it. Look at the price of this shrimp. It's so much less. Christides is, the highest priced shrimp is like $20 a pound.
Well, this is probably farmed in the toilet back there.
Jason,
I mean,
they can speak English. I wonder if that's where
That's not true.
the mafia buys their dead fish. But anyway,
Luco Brazzi sleeps with those fishes.
this way? Well, what's this?
Let's go in and check it out. Isn't this park we've been to before?
is-
Yeah, they were doing Tai Chi in there.
But I think they're doing that. The
Let's check it
Chinese,
out.
China's Got Talent singing.
Oh, it's that instrument.
Right. I have to say this is like the counterpart of the Indian instrument.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
same.
maybe it even has similar origins. Here it is.
What's
I mean, this is like what the park was like in Shenzhen, although not this crowded.
What do you think this is?
I don't know. Let's walk around and maybe we'll see a sign. They have tents.
This is where G has
They're playing what?
checkers or something? Is this where Chinese checkers?
Is it?
I don't know.
I think in China it's just checkers.
But this is this where G has the spies come?
That
Or?
looks like poker.
Yeah, for cash. Let's see what this is.
How could that? Well, actually, it is legal to play poker as long as there is no house. Individuals are.
Oh, yeah,
allowed.
this is gambling.
This does look like gambling, right?
He doesn't want the pictures. Let's get out of here.
All right.
Because the Chinese.
So this is some sort of potentially illegal Chinese
Right.
festival that we're going to get in trouble for filming.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, photographing. There is no film.
Right.
Well,
Interesting. This is
Indeed.
progress in Manhattan, right? We used to be, and there's cops right there. They're really
they're
taking
probably
this.
getting 10% from the
exactly,
big guy.
minimum. Probably saying, we don't,
they're the house.
what's this guy
I've seen
doing?
a lot of girls in army boots today.
Exactly. Well, I like the look of that.
Yeah.
There's three, and let's go this way. Three Please,
This
fans.
is an odd thing to see. Just
Coca-Cola
a Coca-Cola
thing?
vending machine sitting out on the street doing nothing.
Yeah, I like Coca-Cola.
I
There's
hate
also
it.
nothing in it. You don't like Coke?
Well, it's a terrible product and it's terrible for you.
But it tastes good
Nah, I don't like it.
from time to time. Anyway, we were talking about the fish.
Joe
We're
Biden.
talking about Joe Biden. Now, so how can you say Saudi Arabia is a pariah state when you're
Right.
running, and now get in your very expensive Air Force One to go over
And ask
and
them.
ask, make a request, which Saudi Arabia is going to say, listen, you moron, of course we're not going to do
They
that.
already said that. And what they're asking is to get Saudi to offset Russia. But it was not very long ago that Saudi was trying to convince Russia to join OPEC Plus so that they could be part of their price fixing cartel, right?
Exactly.
So it seems like Saudi Arabia has more to gain by helping Russia than competing with them.
Right, exactly. And it just also, is my understanding of the way these high-level meetings go is there's a lot of advanced calling of the Secretary of State, who's appropriately named Anthony Blinken, because he always blinks under pressure.
Should call him Anthony Chokin.
Exactly. He and his team should have been sounding out the royals in advance to say, look, the president's not going to come see you unless we know we have a winning announcement. Let's work on what we're going to announce, and then once we get your okay, then we'll send him there and we can make a big event out of it. I don't think we have the leverage there. I think when Trump, for example, his first foreign trip, it was very important to Saudi Arabia that they be on that he go to Saudi Arabia.
To New York. And they made a big deal out of it too.
Huge
Trump,
deal.
I don't remember a president being in Saudi Arabia with more fanfare than that.
Yeah,
The globe and everything.
globe and the sword dance.
But that was a Palantir globe. That's a whole weird thing in and of itself.
Yeah.
But right, the sword dance and the other thing that, Cullen and I have spoken about quite a lot, but I don't know if you and I have spoken about, Gina Haspel went to see Abdulaziz, the king of Saudi Arabia, because they had discovered that there were Twitter employees who were spying on Saudi Arabia. And then just the other day, we heard that Twitter settled some kind of FTC or SEC or somebody like that, some kind of fine for $150 million for misusing
right.
people's personal,
Thank you.
private data, which sounds maybe kind of similar to the spying thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, I've got to believe that corporate-owned media and social media is heavily used by security services from many nations. It would be shocking to me if it weren't used.
Well, they're now saying that Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter would represent a national security threat.
This is what Trump can now say to Joe Biden here. You wrong. You wrong.
And you know what I just noticed? Look, see that thing right there?
Yeah.
That's the same symbol that some dude came from China to 21st Century 3D, gave me that as a
that's
gift
what-
to interview me for their magazine about 3D stuff, and now that's hanging on the door in
I
my
think that's
apartment.
just a good luck symbol, isn't it?
That's what the guy told me. But I should have found out more about it. Maybe I hung a Chinese talisman in my house that's going to kill me.
It's probably got a bug in there.
Maybe.
Actually, this seems kind of dull. Let's go down
All right.
the next street.
The other thing that happened, Charles, is that they quietly announced that the Twitter deal has passed some regulatory something. Did you know about that?
I didn't notice concerning what.
That's what I mean. They were so quiet about it that it made me think it's probably favorable to Elon Musk. It's difficult for me to understand what's going on with that.
Well, first of all, the deal, there is no deal. There was an agreement in principle to possibly do something, but there's no formal.
Did you see that guy's shirt?
Amazon?
Amazon Labor Union, it said.
Yeah.
That's brand new. And he's got the shirt.
Probably made in China.
Right. Where's the shirt laborers union?
That's right. Oh boy.
So understanding the deal with Twitter.
Yeah, so I don't think Musk has had a satisfactory answer to the key question, which is what percentage of all accounts are fake? And why is it taking so long? If you're a social media giant, you pioneered this Twitter thing, you must have, that's the kind of stuff that
should have at your fingertips.
Exactly.
But the point is, when they're passing these regulatory things, and it almost seems like, the powers that be are aligning to do something with this Twitter deal, and I can't quite tell what it is.
Yeah.
But it seems like some shenanigans are afoot.
Trying to stuff it, maybe.
That's what I mean.
But Musk certainly has the upper hand tactically at this point. If the Musk deal doesn't complete, then maybe a deal completes at a lower price. But if no deal results, the stock's going to trade in the toilet.
That's what I've been saying. It's Musk or husk. The thing becomes a husk of its former self.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, I've been very critical of Donald Trump's Truth Social, and I have been noticing incremental improvements that I still find too slow for something that purports to be a competitive social media platform in 2022. It used to be that when I was putting up links for our show, the link would not resolve into the preview.
2 lobsters
image.
with ginger and scallion for $49. Does that seem low to you?
Well, tell me how much the lobsters
Yeah,
weigh.
they could be this big. I was getting away from the
He's
bouncing
so
as well.
annoying, that guy. These are probably less than £1.25 pounds.
What does lobster yi mein mean? Chow mein? Lobster yi
I don't
mein?
know. Yee. It's probably something to do with Kanye West.
It's probably, it doesn't look very appetizing in there, but it's probably great.
I don't understand how you would arrive at that conclusion.
Well, because there are a lot of Chinese people in there.
Oh, well, that's right.
When you see that, it's probably a sign that food is pretty
Yes,
tasty.
I agree. Pretty loud.
When I was a little kid, my parents used to take us down here. It was sort of a fun outing to go, and afterwards, look at the Chinese toy stores and maybe buy something. What's it? There's your shirt.
I like milk too, though.
Do I look like a fucking people person?
Right. These are the classic New York shirts. I haven't seen the anti-milk one. I do. People don't like it when I say this, but this makes me hungry to see ducks hanging in the window.
And ribs? Or
what is that thing on the left?
looks like an alien. Octopus?
Maybe some kind of squid, yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. Music to go to sleep to.
I guess it's a recorder. Well, he's got some electronic thing in his ear. It's interesting.
Controlling the drone that's going to strike us.
Exactly. Calling in the position.
That's right.
And he's going to just nape the area.
Yeah, this is, I guess we walked over here before. This is the Williamsburg Bridge, I think it's this way.
That's the Manhattan Bridge.
Manhattan Bridge, you're right.
Well, but just back on the Elon Musk Twitter thing. So he's tweeting that he wants the DOJ. They're leaking all this stuff, but they're not leaking about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Because remember, people have taken this one photograph of Elon Musk sort of standing there in a tuxedo and Ghislaine Maxwell like popping up from behind him, obviously at some, fancy event, photobombing him essentially. And they're like, that proves that he's a criminal with, Ghislaine Maxwell. People consider elements of evidence to be proof of things in weird ways.
Across the street. Trouble. And I think he's got an excellent point there. I mean, the tale on Epstein and the island is so sordid. It goes back so many decades, and there was an investigation. There's several investigations into Epstein. There must be FBI evidence about Epstein that we haven't seen yet, and certainly, the stuff that was in Epstein's mansion. All the recording equipment and all that stuff that somebody found.
Well, remember, Dugan was involved in that as well, because Dugan had created, before he got run out of town, he created something called PBSO Talk, like either .com or .org or something like that, which was just a non-fancy website where you could upload information anonymously about corruption within the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. And remember, that's where the investigation of Epstein was happening.
Right.
And the dude, that detective guy who died at like 50 or 51, Charles, that's your McLaren. The guy who died at 50 or 51, the detective, Dugan checked his server, and that guy had uploaded videos from the Epstein investigation to Dugan's server.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people after Dugan, and the notion, keep in mind, the stupid Mario brothers have been writing all kinds of letters to law enforcement claiming that I'm this, I'm that. Depending on what point in the timeline you drop down in, they claim that I'm involved with Mossad, they claim that I was involved with the Ukrainian Navy, that now they claim I'm a Russian something or other. Then they say I'm gay, then they say I'm raping Ethiopian refugees. They change their story all the time.
You're ubiquitous.
Well, but the fact that Dugan has been doing more shows with me, and then now suddenly he appears on this Ukrainian death list, who is, certainly people who are protecting Nina are pissed off that I revealed that she should probably have registered under FARA as a foreign agent.
And if she hasn't, she still has a problem.
Exactly, and they haven't addressed that. She just said she's a victim of disinformation.
She's the queen of
It's terrible.
bad information.
Here's optical 88. Now this is weird because in Chinese, 88 is lucky,
No.
and separately,
No.
no?
In China, I thought an 8 was unlucky.
I think 88 is lucky,
Oh, but 8 by itself is not lucky.
but 88 is lucky because when my parents were trying to sell their house, somebody told me you got to make the last two numbers 88 or Chinese people won't want to look at it.
Interesting.
That's what they were told. And then but separately, 14 and 88 are symbolic to neo-Nazism.
So the
So you
Chinese
gotta-
are connected with the Nazis?
I don't think so,
Or the neo-Nazis?
but that's an interesting question.
This is a very active Chinese market street here.
Yeah. Very
Ooh.
fishy. Wow, yeah. Careful. It's a broken sidewalk there. That's a
careful.
tough job for that guy. Yeah, don't
Here's
fall
just
on
like
any of this,
not a McKinsey tip. When you're selling food like this, probably want to take the garbage somewhere else.
They don't roll like that, Charles.
Which smells worse, this food or the garbage? Tough call.
So this is like an herb store or something. The other thing that I've noticed is that there is a sort of a glut of weed stores that are now specializing in like Japanese potato chips.
Japanese potato chips?
I don't know.
What's wrong with Lay's?
It is Lay's, but it's got Japanese writing on it. So I don't know, maybe the ingredients are different, or maybe if you're stoned, you can read Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Japanese, watermelons are extremely popular in Japan. They grow them in squares.
How do they do that?
They have basically these farms where they put a cage around the growing watermelon, and like many things, it grows to fit the shape of the vessel that it's in.
Huh.
And so then when they put them in the stores, because everything in Japan is tiny, they can stack them and they use less space.
Huh.
And they're super expensive.
Wow.
I remember one time we were having a barbecue at Cedar Beach. And for people who don't know, I personally consider Cedar Beach one of New York's hidden gems.
Well, where is it?
It's right next to Jones Beach, but they charge you $20 to park there, which
At Cedar Beach or Jones?
it's Cedar Beach. Jones Beach, it's $5. This is years ago. I haven't been there in a while. I assume the disparity remains. But it keeps the riffraff out, Charles.
Got it. Got it.
I'm riffraff. It depends on your point of view, but it keeps a certain level of riffraff.
Right.
I'm the $20 riffraff. But me and my friend were there with a couple people having a barbecue, and we realized that we forgot coals.
Making it tough to barbecue.
Yes, but I had purchased several watermelons, and I hatched a plan involving international diplomacy where I observed a Japanese family having a barbecue, and I said, Seth, watch this. And I traded, without them being able to speak English or me being able to speak Japanese, I traded one watermelon for an entire bag of coal, and my friend was amazed. He's like, how did you know that would work?
You should have been if you had been with Columbus, he probably would have made it to India.
I wouldn't have known all this stuff without the internet, so it doesn't matter. But actually, that I learned from going to Japan, but I wouldn't have been able to do that in 1492 either. But I just know that Japanese people super duper love watermelon.
That's really odd.
And they were done with their barbecue and had extra coal, so they probably were like, "That sucker, we just got a free
exactly.
watermelon."
Whatever's in the initial one.
So always carry a watermelon in your car.
An extra couple watermelons.
Right. It's the international currency. Speaking of international currency, the ruble remains strong, and then now there's some kind of block that they've created, the Sino something or other, and continuing to harm the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency.
I think.
What, do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, I do. The problem with the U.S. dollar, I think, starts at home. We don't need to blame other people. You have a government that decides that it can now pay off student loans for people
Right.
without passing a law. Just Joe Biden, by the stroke of a pen, does that. When you're talking about universal basic income and other things, and you're blowing trillions of dollars, not just a year, every several months you're blowing another $1 trillion. The rest of the world takes notice and says at some point soon, the United States will not be able to, on its own, continue to pile on all this debt. And so people can, we're really at fault. Democrats, Republicans, voters of any persuasion for letting these nincompoops just burn our money, burn our children and grandchildren's money. Now, there is a piece of good news on that subject.
What's that?
Maybe you didn't notice.
I didn't.
AOC has now had two fantastic realizations. The first one, I suppose we could go over to the Bowery and walk up that way, or
Sure.
the first one is she's revealed that I think it was in 2016 at a Lakota Sioux event, she felt her connection, her indigenous people's connection. So she's channeling Elizabeth Warren.
Wait, I thought where is she from?
Who knows? But she's trying to now play the idea that maybe she's, in the same tribe as
Well, Cortez being her last name.
not a good name.
I mean, isn't that like Mexican descent from Spanish conquistadors?
Who knows if she's actually related to Cortez? But if she is, that's not good
That's
for that story. What's that?
That's the sigil. The upside down, the manger of Christ upside down.
So it's what, Satan's
Yeah.
lair? So that's the first realization. The second is she actually got up. She said, I've decided that Congress and politicians in Washington D.C. are hopelessly corrupt.
She's in it.
Really? Did you figure that out when you got your first Tesla, or the Birkin bag, or the expensive dress, or the 2 apartments, and all on a congressional person's salary while you still have student loans? Is that when you figure that out? Or did you not get paid enough this time?
And briefly on the student loans, there was a clip played where this guy some Elizabeth Warren event was there, and this guy says, "Hey, I saved all my money and paid for my daughter. I had 3 jobs to send my daughter to college," and she was like, "That's great." And he says, "My neighbor went on vacation and blew a lot of money and didn't work as hard as me, and his daughter got a loan, and now I want my money back."
Right.
And she was like, "Oh, we're not doing that."
Yeah, I know. That is not going to end well.
Look at this, Charles.
Was that Apple Maps?
Apple Maps, driving around with a 360 camera.
Stay in the shade, I guess.
Sure.
So what is that? Moxie Hotels.
I am aware of Moxie Hotels. I think it's owned by Marriott.
Is it really?
I think so, but I could be wrong. It says coming late 2022. I don't know. That looks more like a boutique
We
hotel.
don't have the light here.
Well, anyway, so they're giving back people's money.
And that issue, the idea that you should forgive student loans out of the blue, it's absurd.
I want $10,000 off the car loan.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's absurd. It's like, can we be more blatant in how we try to buy votes?
Right.
recent college graduates are going to vote in 2022 and 2024. How can we get them to vote for us?
Well, the gun issue is the other thing. They're coming for the guns, Charles.
Well, and sadly, there are more and more shootings. There are a number of
Philly
and Chattanooga just now, and you know the way it's obviously horrible, but we have to look at those shootings more rigorously. You know, how many guns are held in this country? What is our estimate of how many guns are illegally owned, and how many are lawfully owned?
Well, better question is how many people have shot somebody, get out of jail, and then shoot somebody else?
Or how about Eric Adams? I mean, Eric Adams is really he's like Seattle Slew, New York Slew. He's so far ahead of the pack for dumbasses. I mean, the guy, he's now appointed for his anti-gun violence person. He's appointed somebody who served time in prison for manslaughter, who's a felon.
That can't be serious.
It's
Why would
absolutely
he do
serious,
that?
because he's a moron.
But I mean, even a moron knows certain things.
Well,
right?
I think an idea that people try to sell is that crime happens not because of somebody makes a very bad decision, but because society creates winners and losers and is unfairly prejudiced against certain ethnic groups, and this is just natural that this would happen, and you shouldn't make a big deal of it, you know. And the guy served his time, you know, let him out and let him be part of society again. And it's just Eric Adams. I don't know how the guy actually was promoted up the ranks as a cop. I mean, he strikes me as somebody who had difficulty figuring out how to fill out a traffic ticket, let alone running a precinct house or more.
Did he run it?
I mean, he was a captain, wasn't he?
I don't know. He's a captain stupid is what it sounds like.
Yeah. There's a new idea for a...
So Avenatti got another 4 years. He was going to run for president, according to CNN and The View.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think Avenatti is a more effective, could potentially be a far more effective president than Joe Biden.
Well, at least he's like
Comical.
Cognizant. He's aware of what's going on.
Maybe.
I don't think you can say that about Joe Biden.
And he's just, be careful here. He's just, Avenatti is just somebody who's just bad. Careful, this guy's lurching.
Yeah. He's heading right towards us.
Right. That's why I said careful. That's why I'm the one, you know, you're looking down the street and behind, but I'm always looking.
So hang on a second.
He's not there.
He was riding right up behind us, though,
Oh.
this guy.
Always a strong move to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. Chair, table, booth, restaurant supply. Good to know.
Well,
Right next to life is a killer.
I was going to say, at least we have accuracy in signage.
Right next to Dial-A-Pole.
That business is knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, this is the one that was a
Right,
pop-up
that
store.
guy.
Right? Rock Bottom.
That guy's girlfriend was making fashion stuff. So what else did we want to discuss, Charles? There's so much going on now.
Well, I think let's start a little bit with this Peter Navarro situation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would like to. I often see value in contrasting things. So let's talk about Hillary Clinton for a second. Hillary Clinton got out front with Barack Obama late November, early December 2008. They craft the MOU December 12th, 2008. It is a tissue of lies. Nothing in that MOU is accurate. And they John Kerry circulates the MOU to his fellow senators on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, along with the ranking member who then was, I think, Dick Lugar.
Oh, man, really?
Yeah. And
when did he die?
I don't know, but they engineer on January 13th. Hillary Clinton in 2009 is still a senator, so she's bound by the rules of the Senate. She gets up and gives boldly false testimony about, because a centerpiece issue was, you know, how could Bill Clinton continue to run the Clinton Foundation while she's Secretary of State. That was of grave concern to the senators. And at no point did the truth come out that at that moment in time, the Clinton Foundation had no bylaws, no articles, no audit, had not made fair disclosures about its donors. There were hundreds of millions of dollars missing. The foundation had been engaged in all kinds of reprehensible criminal behavior since before, but it really spread out when Bill left the White House in January of 2001. So none of her testimony was accurate, because she was showcasing the idea that she and Bill would be marital
Your favorite place.
marital art supplies. It's like, being wrong on both counts. But anyway, and so she sails through the Senate, and the transition team either did no diligence on the Clinton Foundation or didn't care. But I would argue that the Barack Obama transition team and Kerry, and certainly the Clintons, deceived the Senate, deceived the world, and let this person nearly destroy American interests during her 4-year campaign from hell as Secretary of State around the world with all the diabolically bad things that she did. And that's an example of somebody actually lying to the Senate by both misstating and also omitting to state material facts. If she had gotten up there and said, well, we're not going to have to worry about any conflicts with the Clinton Foundation because it's never actually existed, and I've already reported Bill into the authorities, and he's going to have to spend time in prison, so there's no conflict, don't worry about it. I would have given her high marks.
That would have been awesome, actually.
Bill, when you get out of prison, we can have a discussion about getting divorced. Till then, I'm just going to keep all our shit.
No, she'd put him in the room with Tagliatone or whatever his name is.
No,
and then Michael Baden would say, I don't know, his larynx was crushed.
That's right. He fell up the stairs.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, wow. Wow. That was like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or something.
Yeah, that's Bill Clinton. Shitty Shitty Bang. Well, that's Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. Shitty Shitty Bang Bang.
No, that sounds like Eric Swalwell's girlfriend.
So you contrast that with here Sussman, knowing, and the Clinton crew, knowing that the D.C. court system and jury pool is never going to do anything against the Democrat, knowing that, they put America through this, Durham puts America through this arguably a charade.
Has he said anything, Durham?
I don't know, but I'm sure he will. But
I don't know.
You contrast those two things. Hillary gets away literally with murder, and here Sussman,
allegedly.
If you call the Clinton family distributing adulterated HIV/AIDS drugs, and that does kill people, a lot of people. Anyway, you contrast those two things, and it sends a message. For now, be a Democrat. What is going on? Somebody has got a piece along the lines that I was hoping. Here we go. A mainstream journalist has written a piece saying the Sussman trial, and not necessarily focusing on Navarro, but the Sussman trial outcome finally shows that the working relationship between the government and the swamp is too tight in Washington, D.C. And
what's the difference between the government and the swamp?
Well, no, the elected officials and the bureaucrats and the people in the law firms and think tanks and other things, that what we need to do, there's too much power concentrated in Washington, D.C., and the regulatory system is not able to do anything about it because they're the problems.
Right.
So there needs to be, I think, a way to hold. If you're not going to have a new capital city, which is in a location that is more representative of the country than Washington, D.C., if you're not going to do that, let's go over
just
here.
ask them if they have any Cadillacs.
Yeah. What's that one, though?
It's a robot pig, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it?
You tell me. I have no clue.
It's a pig cow. It's like MGTOW, but that's a pig cow.
So here it's busier. Irish pub. How can you tell that these people wearing Rangers jerseys are not Rangers?
I don't
Because
know.
the game is on TV right now. Anyway, so it's just, it's so blatant, and somebody's written about this idea that maybe it's finally time for the people to say, enough of this. Washington, D.C. needs to be, it could be history town. I mean, we keep all the,
Make it like Disneyland.
well, everything that happened through 2000, let's say, or 2000, the end of the millennium, we keep all the records of that in History Town. You want to go see, all the various plantations. We can't call them that now.
Well, it would be.
What?
It would be like a
What?
the truck.
Fire truck. Oh,
33. But you can make it like Disneyland, and you say,
Right.
in the future, people
like-
will eat maggots and worship anal Schwab.
or it's like Colonial Williamsburg, and it's near. So, and then instead we'd have, as Saudi Arabia is trying to do, they're trying to do a city of the future.
Oh, I know, the largest
Gigantic
building
city of the future.
ever made by far.
We could maybe do something like that and ship the apparatus that must regulate federal government officials
To the desert?
to that location.
Yeah.
So that you
Seal
can't
them.
you can't have the spectacle where the judge, is so tied into defendants or whatever that he can say, I don't see a conflict in me continuing to.
You're kidding, that happens? I can't imagine that.
Right.
Ignoring facts and siding with false statements?
Well, facts. It starts with F.A. Soda's father. That's
Well,
basically,
it's sexist.
Sexist.
Well, that's why I like to use the word
Evidence.
empirical evidence.
Be careful with that. Empire, empirical.
Oh,
There you go again.
right.
This is the guy who doesn't like his picture taken, so
Oh, well, yeah, right.
unfortunately he's sitting down.
But he does enjoy selling stolen products.
Yeah, this place is not doing too well. The cocktail place
Seems maybe
out.
about to open or just
I
closed.
think it's out.
Yeah. Those were some.
Was that Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm?
I don't know. The shoes really jumped out at me.
Sure, Jason. It was the shoes.
Oh
you
yeah,
were
this
looking at.
Elvis movie is coming, Charles.
That's right.
Baz Luhrmann.
These
Baz
are
Luhrmann.
people, Jason, who not afraid to say what they think.
What does it say?
Oh, there's Extinction Rebellion. I don't want to say it, but if you see the awkward and then look below it,
Oh yeah. I don't know who they're talking about though.
I have got it. Does it involve Chappaqua?
Did it say Hillary anywhere on there?
I didn't say that, Jason. I just asked a question. Bitburger. Do you buy this with Bitcoin?
I don't know. That's a good idea. Blockchain hamburgers. So there's some other feud going on between Elon Musk and the guy who created Dogecoin.
But let's stay on the
Yeah.
on the law stuff. So
Sure.
So Navarro
Right.
gave an impassioned. It was
Like a press conference.
Yeah, he was on fire.
Jailhouse steps.
Right, and I know we don't like Dershowitz, but Dershowitz sided with Navarro.
What did he say?
He said it's antithetical to democracy to do this.
Well, that's obvious. I mean,
I know, I'm just saying, but it's interesting how Dershowitz picks his way to remain in front of the TV cameras. But, we had Navarro on the show. He was very good, and he's very smart, I think.
I've reached out to him and his agent to try to have him come back, but I think he's busy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very busy. And so now we're getting
You
close.
saw the email, right?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Now we're getting close to the East Village. Maybe we walk down St. Mark's Place,
Sure.
or do you want to walk in past the Ukrainian
Phoebe's
stuff?
looks nicely. Is there a game going on now? I guess everybody's going
Rangers.
crazy at that other bar, so Phoebe's will probably be crowded.
Yeah, if
Oh,
we
look,
go,
they have that whole outdoor section.
let's go past Burp Castle and
So the other thing that's super interesting about what Peter Navarro said, and I mean, he is. I actually didn't know enough about him when we interviewed him.
right.
Because I finished his book after that. That guy, he's one of these dudes who's, he's 72, but if you step out of line, I bet you he would punch you right in the face and you'd go down. He is a tough guy.
Right.
And so he said that he is going to do all this pro se, which is, I've said that a lot, that I'm doing my stuff pro se, but this is just civil. He's on a criminal thing.
Well, there are two matters. He's been attacked criminally, but he was
contempt of Congress.
Right, but he'd sued them civilly as well on something else, I think.
Is he doing that pro se as well?
I don't know on
the
that.
The part outside the courthouse, though, he said that he's proceeding pro se because he's not going to burn up $700,000 on lawyers while he's getting ready to retire. And I mean, that's an important thing to consider. I mean, I was talking to Lee Stranahan about this. We were talking about this guy, Brett Kimberlin, who I didn't realize the extent to which he engaged in lawfare against Andrew Breitbart Holdings, and later against Lee. But it seems that this is a well-established tactic, and I won't go into the details. People can watch the show from yesterday to see what Lee said. But, these are people who are dead set on ruining your life. They don't care that you're 72 and you're going to lose your money, and even if you win this lawsuit, you'll be broke and die and have to sell your house and whatever. That's what they want to do.
Right.
So he's just standing up to them, and he's going to defend it pro se. I think he's going to bury them.
Yeah, well.
And he said the FBI agent who arrested him, he had been in communication with. And also, people have to understand, when you get subpoenaed, there's something you can do called quashing the subpoena, which is a legal process where, there's like a response and a whole, like, just come to your house and arrest you. It's not like he is some kind of violent criminal who they expect is going to escape and create some kind of problem. The fact that they don't communicate through lawyers, this is a guy who worked for the president.
Well, and beyond that, think of Eric Holder.
Right.
The actual chain of events that I understand is that Navarro had been a subject of concern in the January 6th matter. Look at this set of outfits here. Mad Hatters.
Nice hats.
Looks
What
good
are
on
they
you.
doing with those hats?
It's not, I would never.
Looks good on you. Careful.
It's free soup with those hats, Charles.
Dodge the beggar alley.
Peter Navarro,
So,
the issue he's dealing with.
is, well, you contrast what they did to Peter
Holder, right.
Navarro, what they didn't do to Eric Holder.
Right.
Eric Holder was voted in criminal contempt of Congress in a vote that included many Democrats voting against him.
Wow.
Right? And they've done nothing about him, and Holder's Holder led the legal resistance against Trump from his perch as a partner at the law firm.
Covington and Burling.
Covington and Burling, exactly.
Which represented Michael Flynn. And I don't understand how people can think that Flynn was on the up and up being represented by a law firm that says it's Barack Obama's wingman.
Right. So, you look at that, and I think the normal person says, enough. We're not buying this bullshit anymore. We're not, we're not going to sit by and say it's okay. Let's go this one. Okay to go. Well, that's the McSorley's there, your favorite place.
Yeah. They're supporting Ukraine, or this is something Ukraine.
Yeah, there's a Ukrainian church right here, which is why I thought we should go over this way.
Yeah.
See Ukrainian flags everywhere.
Well, and that's the story that Larry Johnson is getting ready to break. He said that he's in touch with people who have information that certain Democrat operatives literally brought Azov Battalion people to Washington, D.C. to participate in January 6th, and that they were among the agents provocateurs who encouraged people to bust into the Capitol.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
And they've been photographed in the crowd, and they've been identified by lots of people. And then pictures showing them in Maidan and in Donbass and all kinds of stuff. Then I've seen other tweets from, American left-wing morons who say, oh, here's this Ukrainian conspiracy theorist in Donbass, and then here he is in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. This proves that Russia was behind the Capitol attack. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Man, you must have to be really fucking stupid to get and keep a job in mainstream media. It's just...
But is it stupid, or is it that they're trying to trick people? They're trying to fool people, and they know what's up. I can't tell. I think there's a good, healthy mix.
There's that phrase, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Uh-huh.
I think when most people don't really watch the news. Actually, they're watching sports, or doing athletics,
Watching their kids,
doing whatever they do, and.
Is that the music? Dude, give me a beat and I'm just fucking.
And when the people who've sort of been assuming that the news is so depressing that I don't want to listen to it, and
it's kind of valid.
I can't do anything about it anyway.
Right.
When people realize, wait a minute, they got this completely wrong, and this has been a social engineering exercise to sell more COVID medicine and HIV/AIDS drugs and advertising and this and that, and make Silicon Valley billionaires even richer, people are going to get more than just cheesed off, I think.
I hope so.
And when you look at the prices, a funny thing in the UK saying that the cost of getting hammered at the pub is up 70%.
Doubled or something, yeah.
Up 70%.
So Boris Johnson's got to be pretty bummed out.
Oh, his liquor supply is he's set for
Ample.
life on that one.
Yeah.
Better. So what do you think? We'll go over to First and then back around?
Sure.
Right. There's the church still.
Yeah, I mean, what are they
falling down.
doing with this? It's just this is what Twitter will be like when Elon Musk is done with it. It's a husk of a church.
Yeah. Well, I think there was a big fire in there.
I know, but it was like a year ago, and it doesn't seem like anybody's doing anything to construct it.
More than a year ago.
I think you're right. I mean, how long does it take to build that?
And now this was hipster heaven until Williamsburg became hipster heaven, I think.
Right.
And now isn't it Bed-Stuy? It's even moved out of Williamsburg. And
I don't know. I'm out of that world.
You're not a
When
hipster?
Well, when I used to, at 21st Century 3D, the employees were a few years younger than me, and every semester we would have interns and everything. So I was kind of hooked into a certain degree of,
Sure.
hipness. People were playing new music on the stereo and talking about stuff that I now have kind of like no angle into. Oh, Panic at the Disco. That's an example of the type of music that would be played that I wouldn't know about if people weren't loading it onto the MP3 server.
I know what a disco is, and I know
that's
what
a band,
Panic is, but I've never heard of Panic at the Disco.
And I'm sure you know what a teenager is and what an Atari is and what a Riot is, but I bet you never heard of Atari Teenage Riot.
Is that a band?
I'm pretty
Give us
sure.
something.
There's a new Atari coming out.
I've got my name on the waiting list, Jason.
It's actually a pretty interesting business case,
Vegan
though.
ice cream.
Somebody, Van Leeuwen, yeah. It's expensive. They make regular ice cream also.
But how
I'm
are
pretty
you
sure this is the kind that Nancy Pelosi had.
How are you going to know?
That it's vegan?
Yeah,
Because it tastes bad. Suddenly
And
it
it
lost
costs more?
stability.
Costs more, tastes bad, probably vegan.
Yeah, that's how you can tell. If it's bread, it'll taste like rubber. But wait, we were about to talk about something.
We go all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, we're here in Ukraine now. It's interesting
Little
to see how
Ukraine.
visible this is.
All the flags.
People in the chat will remember what we were going to talk about. DHS.
The South is great, but I'm thinking of the one.
Too bad Cooper Union turned all woke, somebody says.
Well, try all academia, super woke.
Yeah.
But just back on this point, one thing we drifted off is this issue of why people who decide to go to even a good university and pile up too much debt should get a break, as contrasted to people who say, you know what, forget these woke bullshit universities. I'm going to be a mechanic and make a tremendous amount of money, or a plumber or something, and have a great life, because I decide whether I make a service call and I decide how much I'm going to charge. And you really need me when you clueless people coming out of academia, or many. I'll say I'm clueless mechanically. I couldn't fix a sink or fix.
No, I was going to say, if you learned how to fix BMWs instead of going to college, I bet you make a lot of money.
Right. I wouldn't, but
Not anybody who can do that. I mean, I always have respect for people who are in businesses, like anybody who owns a machine shop or something like that.
Those are
where you could do that, right? If it was like 1850 or 2390, somebody needs to make a machine. You're there cutting things and.
And so why should those people who didn't pay, who didn't go to take out student loans and go to universities and have no debt, why should they be the ones to pay off the debts of the people who went to the universities and probably spent too much time smoking dope and picked a stupid major and are unemployable as a result? It's ridiculous. Right. I think those are two prime candidates right there.
Brian's picking out the turbo diesels in the background. Yeah. See, there's a lot for people to enjoy with this show, Charles, because New York is a tapestry of interesting stuff.
Indeed.
Coupled with our, anecdotes of whatever. So, well, all right. So Peter Navarro, he's gonna, basically challenge the FBI. Why did the FBI arrest him, though, if it was contempt of Congress? Shouldn't that be the Capitol Police?
I have no clue on those mechanics.
The FBI has been weaponized, and we haven't heard any more about their skiff over at...
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely we have. There's somebody at the Epoch Times has written a great piece on it.
What'd they say?
Well, I didn't read it carefully, but I can comment on it because I have done for several interviews already. I think it's outrageous. Forgetting the political side of it, if I'm a big corporation and I'm concerned about getting caught for breaking American law, which maybe happens in these big, well, why would I do that? I've already paid off all the politicians. Anyway, but seriously, if I were concerned about that, I would not want my most sensitive files in a law firm where the FBI has a secret office in that law firm. Because, how can I be sure that the FBI doesn't send somebody from that secret office into another part of Perkins Coie to get my stuff, and then suddenly I don't have
I'm arrested, yeah.
Right, and how does Perkins Coie reconcile its obligations to its many clients with its stupid decision here to have this office? I mean, the sensible person would have said, we're not doing this.
Well, what is the true purpose of that? Because it's such an unusual and gotta be illegal relationship there. There's a wings place.
I'm very much against having essential government functions subcontracted out to private contractors.
Right.
I'm just very much against that. I get the argument that one of the reasons you might want to do it is because public sector workers are so expensive. There's another way of dealing with that problem.
That's a business that would never succeed in Spain.
What?
Well, because stuffed in Spanish has a sexual connotation.
It does it?
It's one of those things. I agree with you, Charles. All this contracting to, this is where all the smart smokers are.
Where the what?
That's where all the smart smokers are. All of these contractors, we don't really understand the nature of the relationship between the Department of Homeland Security and Nina Jankowicz. Right. Was she directly employed, or was she paid through her LLC with its GSA number?
Right, and my understanding, though, is that what may have been going on with Perkins Coie is that they got final approval March 26, 2012 to have a skiff inside their office, and it took, some people tell me it probably took 3 to 6 months to install that properly, because it's no mean feat to have a skiff inside an office building.
What about the bureaucratic approval something like that would require? How many people had to know about it, and why would they allow it to happen?
And whose idea was it? I mean, if you go back 6 months from March 26, 2012, you're approximately in September 2011.
Sounds like Obama country.
Right, and you're, they obviously wouldn't have known, maybe they did know in advance, but I suspect they wouldn't have known what was going to happen in Benghazi on September 11, 2012. But it certainly seems to me as if Perkins Coie and the FBI were trying to make sure that some kind of very sensitive and perhaps incriminating information wouldn't get outside the closed loop of the FBI and Perkins Coie. And one important person in that closed loop is Bob Bauer.
Wow.
Who was a Perkins Coie partner before he became White House counsel and returned to Perkins Coie in this time frame.
Yeah, that just sounds like they used the White House to set up that screwy deal.
Well, the White House most likely ordered that deal.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So how that? This is.
It's preposterous. Honestly, it's preposterous. In the FBI, they always say, it's the line agents are great. It's the seventh floor that are a problem. They always talk about their 35,000 people.
They all suck.
Well, how can it be that Perkins Coie, the partners of Perkins Coie, why would they take this risk? And I think the answer is to give themselves a gigantic set of get-out-of-jail-free cards, to have a leg up on the competition. And then we go back, and there's several articles written about this. Remember, there was the unmasking
Valerie
that was going
Flynn
on.
or whatever.
And no. That there were many requests.
Flynn.
Flynn and many others. And what happened was that Samantha Power's name was used to unmask hundreds or maybe thousands of different incidents. And when she was called on the carpet to answer, she claimed that she didn't make those requests.
So someone's using her credentials without her knowledge.
Maybe they were doing that in the Perkins Coie office.
Sounds plausible.
And how easy would it have been for the FBI and other actors to use whatever terminals and data systems were put in there to access files on Obama administration rivals and enemies?
See, it fits a pattern,
journalists.
Charles, because when they created CrowdStrike, see, if you're the head of the FBI and a lawyer, and you're talking to the president who's a lawyer, you're going to have a very good understanding of how the various checks and balances prevent certain government organizations from doing certain things. And if you can create a CrowdStrike and have a former FBI guy be the CEO, you can have a skiff at your FBI-friendly law firm. Think of the ways you could game the checks and balances and basically force have undue influence with these things that are supposed to be checked by checks and balances, and they basically eliminate them.
Well, to me, the most obvious piece of bullshit in that CrowdStrike thing was when the time came to take a look. It's all right, let's not get into it. Right?
They got it without me saying anything, Charles.
Yeah.
I got a way. If I had kids, I wouldn't yell at them, but they would know. We just saw it.
Right. So, wasn't it Alperovich was involved with CrowdStrike?
Well, he's the chief technology officer and a
is
senior fellow
is he
at
Russian
the
or
Atlantic
Ukrainian?
Council. He's an anti-Putin Russian. Maybe he's a Ukrainian of Russian descent. I don't know, but he's definitely anti-Putin and a Russian expatriate. So there's a little bit of a gray area there between certain Russians and certain Ukrainians.
Right. But so the stinkiest part of that thing for me was that the FBI never actually examined the DNC servers. I think you have to go back. And I'm sure if they say now we want to examine them,
chain of custody is destroyed.
Yeah, and and BleachBit,
Right. There's no way to know now. It's what spoliation of evidence is what that is.
Right.
And when you're the head of the FBI, you just say, Basically everything. So the Peter Navarro thing, almost everything is set up so that basically no matter what you do, you're essentially, there is a crime you could be charged for if they want to, and it's just a matter of deciding who to charge and who to let off.
Right. Which is not acceptable.
Well, it's been going on for a long time. Remember when they prosecuted Bill Ayers, he famously came out on the courthouse steps and his press conference was, he said, guilty as sin, but free as a bird. Yeah. Because it had been determined that the FBI illegally wiretapped him, and so the evidence was inadmissible and they had to let him go. But in the case of Donald Trump, when they found out that they illegally wiretapped him, they just said, that's a conspiracy theory, right, and he's orange, so we're gonna arrest him for anything.
Yeah. I started to say, however this bounces, I hope one way it doesn't bounce is that people who are, God almighty, otherwise law-abiding, I hope people won't look at this and say, all right, Navarro's getting the shaft. When we win in November 2022 and maybe 24, we're going to do to the other side what they did to Navarro, what they did to Trump, what they did to Corsi. That's not the correct reaction.
No.
The correct reaction is to
take the high road.
Well, is to eviscerate, or to create, I should put it differently, to create a real investigative apparatus, not
Yeah.
one that whose primary
Politicized.
where the individual's primary goal is to get credentials.
2 more idiots.
To get credentials that will let them go off and set themselves up in private security companies that they can sell to the public
And the FBI.
and where they can make a lot of money in the equity of the thing.
Oh, you mean, I got it. Sell the stock to the public.
Right, like CrowdStrike, for example.
Well, that's Google invested in that.
Right, I'm just saying. So there's now that we've set up all these, we have all these powerful tools, and we have AI getting more and more artificial intelligence, getting more powerful every nanosecond. We can be
Charles.
quite what?
Let's just go over here a second.
Sure.
If this guy passes. He's coming this side. Sorry.
It's okay.
So anyway, getting more and more powerful. I
Well,
agree.
the basic idea that people who work in the FBI or the equivalent of the FBI will have value to a private subcontractor after they leave is only going to get more, be more the case as technology moves the way it's moving. And so we got to get on top of that
Yeah.
ASAP. Here's a nice little fixer-upper for you, Jason. You could get a trailer. It's got a canopy for you, $322.
I'm surprised that's not turned into a parking lot or something.
Pretty small.
Vertical.
Oh, you could go here.
That's a.
Gang.
Yeah, I don't know.
A $3 Bud Light.
Doesn't
Does that
seem
sound good?
appealing at all.
Yeah, this part of town has been run down for my entire life. I doubt anything will change until maybe these buildings get knocked down.
Well,
And Jason, we can. I'll wait if you want to run into IHOP and
it says I Infirmary.
no over there IHOP,
Oh,
and you can get a big bucket of pancakes and grease to take back to your apartment.
do you find it a coincidence that the IHOP is just across the street from the I Infirmary, Charles?
I do.
Focus on French cinema. It's a virtual French film festival
It's
with
doing a
English
little left.
subtitles. I'm confused by that. What do they mean?
That's the whole purpose of it, Jason. I'm trying to confuse you.
French cinema?
Yeah.
That is the whole purpose. You watch the whole thing, and then you listen to a lecture about how great it is, and you say, I didn't understand any of that.
Did you ever see Le Grand Bouffe?
I don't think so.
It's a movie about people eating themselves to death.
I haven't seen that. I've seen like 8.5.
It's a
Oh,
comedy.
but that's Fellini. He's Italian. It's hard for me to tell.
It's a nice family movie. That's actually, we have to look into that title. We could do Biden as Le Grand Douche.
That's a good idea.
So do you want to go to the other side so we can walk past IHOP?
I don't care.
Well, I think there's a
about
big.
IHOP.
Well, no, the garbage I think is spectacular over there. You got to be on.
Sure. We're going to get roasted, though, in the sun.
All right,
on
we'll
that
stay
side.
here then.
We could do the zoom lens on the garbage.
All right, we'll let you zoom.
So, Charles, what else is piquing your interest with the coming week?
Well, this is the week where we're going to have public hearings on the January 6th.
Oh, right. Yes, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
And
And that's probably why they arrested Peter Navarro.
oh, of course. And they're going to have. Let's just go in
Yeah,
here
yeah.
and let the loud talkers get by us. It's amazing to me how people decide. They get on a cell phone and they say, "I'm not going to use this thing. I'm just going to
Yell.
shout to the Dominican Republic."
Oh, wow. Yeah, a lot of garbage outside the IHOP.
That's mega IHOP garbage.
There used to be on 3rd Avenue, Charles, here's your black wrap Galanda wagon.
There you go.
There used to be this thing, the Royal Canadian Pancake House, where the pancakes were like a meter. Not, I'm exaggerating. It was maybe like, it was like an 18-inch, it was the size of a pizza, and
Wow.
like about that thick. And it was kind of a joke. Like every time you'd go there, there'd be somebody there like, just wait, just
Purple.
wait. The hair?
Purple hair on a unicycle.
I saw it. But anyway, the Royal Canadian Pancake House, I think it's out of business because it was like a joke, the place. The pancakes were so big, you just couldn't eat one.
Huh.
I mean, you could not complete one, unlike Lay's potato chips where you just can't eat one. This was one giant pancake that you cannot finish.
Well, I'm sure there are a few people around who could probably, unfortunately for them, finish them.
Oh, look. We probably saw this last time.
The bubble tea.
Bong World. No, it's joining Weed World.
Grand opening.
Doesn't look, maybe they're a little bit stoned. Grand opening, man. Why is nobody coming in?
And then you go over there to Chen's Express Kitchen. I'm going to hazard a guess that that food is absolutely horrible.
Where is Chen's?
How
yeah,
fast
there.
could it be with you?
Oh,
Well, Canada
go ahead.
was pissed off that China buzzed their jets.
Canada?
That's what Justin Trudeau said, but I don't think too much of what he says.
I think China should just take Canada.
They have it already,
I know.
yeah.
Just get rid of Castro's son and just acknowledge the obvious. I mean, Vancouver's basically owned by the Chinese.
Yep. Money laundering.
Let the Chinese deal with the Quebec situation. That would be fun to watch.
Well,
And I also love the spat involving Sweden, Finland, and Turkey.
they've changed their name. Turkey now.
Yeah, but
Kanye West probably has something to do with that too.
P. Diddy's going to have to change his name to something. Biden's changed his name to what? Asshat?
Yeah, the symbol formerly known as dummy. But okay, so January 6th public hearings are beginning. That's going to be a ridiculous
Waste of time.
show.
I wonder if they're going to use your video.
They've been trying to delete it from the internet.
Did you send it to like Jim Jordan?
I mean, I've sent it to a bunch of people, but I don't think they look at that stuff. It's very difficult to get these Congress people. I mean, Jim Jordan, I met personally when we went to that, oh, well, you weren't with me. I went to that Mark Meadows, you told me about it. I went to the Mark Meadows,
Right.
whatever it was, Judiciary Committee hearing about the Clinton
Oversight,
Foundation.
oversight.
The Oversight Committee hearing about the Clinton Foundation. And it was like me, Alana Goodman, one other person, and then Tom Fitton and whoever was testifying. And I met and spoke to Jim Jordan at that thing, and he was really nice. And he gave me his card, and I called his office, and they were like,
Nah.
"You're right."
Did you buy him a jacket?
Didn't buy him anything.
He needs a jacket.
Joe's Pizza, Charles.
Right next to the bananas that come to Joe's Pizza. You want me to go in there and steal 12 steaks?
It's up to you. I think you would be
Correct
on
answer is no.
camera. It's a
Oh,
good
who
way
would
to get
notice?
pinched.
I
Oh,
mean,
wait, they have a podcast inside of Trader Joe's?
Wow.
But what are they
they're emulating you. Maybe you should start selling food.
on the podcast?
Yeah, just to get back at them.
Yeah,
You're gonna get in my world, I'll
they're
get into
cutting
yours.
into our whole thing.
Now, was this place open when you were at NYU?
Not at all, no. This was the Palladium nightclub when I went to NYU. This opened shortly after I moved out, and I remember being jealous because it has like a whole food court restaurant section in here.
This wine store used to be pretty good. I don't know if it still is. But
How do you feel about the standpoint of putting a wine store inside a college dorm? Pretty responsible, right?
Very responsible. I mean, the drugs go straight to the room, right?
Oh, they should open a weed store in the NYU dorm.
Exactly.
Save
Well,
people time walking to the
Really,
park.
what they should do is they should take the endowment and buy up a whole bunch of land,
Oh, wait a minute.
and then grow the weed, cut out the middleman,
And just sell it
and
with your
take the
tuition.
thing, and take the thing public.
Yeah.
You know,
NYU Weed World.
That's called a win-win, Jason.
Yeah, whoever's the CEO of Weed World would become an adjunct professor.
It's kind of
botany.
adjunct professor. That's the
Adjunct.
That's the SS of Facebook. I mean, I had a Facebook, equivalent at Yale, and sort of at Harvard Business School.
This was the other point that came up in the Dinesh D'Souza interview with Dave Rubin.
Right.
He was saying that basically Mark Zuckerberg did something that I don't think Dinesh D'Souza is a lawyer. He's just sort of like a smart, or is he a lawyer?
I don't think so, no.
But he said he was unable to find anything that made this expressly illegal, what Mark Zuckerberg did, but that he donated all this money to, protect election integrity, but said that if you don't put these drop boxes, I'm taking the money back. And what Dinesh D'Souza's movie shows is it's tracking people going to the drop boxes. And what he addressed in the interview is it wasn't just, people who are challenging his findings are saying, oh, well, that doesn't prove that these people did anything wrong. They're just going to drop boxes. But then he said that they had certain criteria. They were tracking phones that went to a minimum of 10 drop boxes, and there was already 2,000 people who did that.
Wow.
And the notion is that, like, even if you went to 2, what the hell are you doing going to 2? You're supposed to drop off only your own ballot.
Right.
And it's not a post office box. It's not anything you can do anything at other than drop off ballots. And the people are wearing gloves. And he tied it into all kinds of different revelations from other things where certain people got arrested in certain districts for doing things, and then the gloves came out because everybody was saying, oh no, it's COVID, that's why they're wearing gloves. But D'Souza then points out that at the beginning, they were not wearing gloves, and then other people were wearing gloves. It's a very good interview. People should look at it. Dinesh D'Souza is doing a very good job of defending his very strong evidence.
He claims that 20 million people have seen his movie.
He's making a hell of a lot of money from it in that case, which he deserves.
Sure.
But $30 was too much for me. I got to try to find a cheaper way to watch it.
This guy's smoking and coughing and drinking. All very strong moves. And here's this guy, he's always here. Watch out for this guy on the left. He gets really mad. This guy.
Oh yeah.
Nice look. We'll put some people between us and him.
Smell him from here. Yeah, that guy reeks.
And that's probably after he's had a bath. It's
When?
I don't know, 1999.
Exactly.
Whoa.
So,
There's something going on up there. Maybe we check that
oh yeah,
out.
look at that. Some sort of art.
Then I propose we go over 14th Street and or unless you want to go down University Place and we'll go to Washington Square Park again.
Whatever you want to do. Let's check out this art exhibit. Wait, I don't think we have this light here. Let's go this way. So I was reading something in Variety, Charles. It said that the Top Gun movie is receiving an unexpected boost that even Tom Cruise couldn't have known about, which is that they selected the villain for the movie to be Russia. Now look at that. This guy's van is offering you free Wi-Fi, government tablets? What is that? What is he doing?
Doesn't look sketchy at all to me.
Right. Come in this van. I got free Wi-Fi. Let me stick something in your nose.
Yeah, exactly.
What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? with
So,
that?
okay, we have some sort of art, maybe performance art, or what is this? What'd they do with those big heads?
I don't know. These are models for Barack Obama's statue in the Barack Obama Foundation.
Well,
I'd say this is unremarkable. Better than Hunter Biden, but rather
it's going to
unremarkable.
monetize with that.
Yeah, let's get it in the
that's
shade. Anyway.
Toto. They missed the rain in Africa. Let's see if that kid got his loans paid off for Berkeley Music School, or how the free weed is going. I imagine you'd have a very successful business giving away weed. It's almost like giving away money.
He should go right into the government.
Yeah, Joe Biden.
Run for Senate.
Now, okay, the other thing that's happening is Hunter Biden has, for a little while now, oh, this is the guy, isn't it? No.
No, let's go down University back into the park. And
So Hunter Biden has a new lawyer. I forget his name right now, but he loaned him $2 million.
well, the Hunter Biden revelations get worse and worse every day. I mean, I feel for all the people to feel sorry for, forget Hunter, even forget Hallie, the kids, their respective kids.
They have a lot.
I know.
There's a new kid.
On the block?
Well, with that Cohen girl.
The stripper or the other one?
No, the South African model or whatever she is.
But wasn't he also sleeping with a stripper? who
Well,
got
yeah, she
pregnant?
has a kid too in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But he says it's not his kid.
Right, and you can take whatever he says directly to the bank. That's the Bank of China.
Exactly. Well, Burisma, Privat Bank in Cyprus.
It makes a huge difference whether you're in the shade or not.
Yeah, it does. Well, that's why today is the perfect weather day, because in my apartment with the window open because the sun is not shining directly in, it's so pleasantly nice. This is kind of the best time of the year in certain ways, but it really you only get a few days like this.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Now-
very hot pretty soon.
And then into September. Indian summer in September is very nice.
Native American summer. It's racist otherwise. Summer is racist, Charles.
Right.
Now, how is this person parked here?
Imagine if time travel were possible and whoever was really here in 1491 could understand what we're talking about, what we're saying. And, they were probably very much into cannabis and other things like that.
Oh,
They'd
yeah,
say-
the peace pipe.
Yeah. They'd be saying, these people, what planet are they from? How do they think the people got the land they were on in 1491? It wasn't like, well, I better make sure that I've got clean title to this land and that, what does my title insurance policy say? I mean, it was just whoever got here earliest.
Oh my God, P.F. Chang's is coming here.
That's a disgrace.
I don't think there are any P.F. Chang's in New York City right now, are there?
Well,
You have to go to New Jersey to the shopping mall.
This was going to be an Italian place. I
Well,
thought.
it was Va Piano forever.
Yeah, that was a
Which
nice.
I never went there.
It would seem nice. And there's your lithog. You worked in here, did you?
Amalgamated lithographers? No.
No.
Nope.
Nice pile of garbage though. They do good
Well, thank
garbage.
you.
Right in front of Starbucks.
Yeah, mobile order pickup.
How could Starbucks not be open here on a Sunday?
It's the union. Probably. I love it that they're like, yeah, union, fighting for the worker as you sell $20 coffee. It's the stupidest thing.
Right. Yeah.
So,
But we were talking about feeling sorry for the Biden kids. I mean, children and grandchildren of presidents tend to have major league problems, as I think you see clearly in the Bush family.
right.
But the Biden kids, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
And what's coming out of these relations. Speaking of which, I keep meaning to bring this up, and I always forget. Whatever happened to Jack Maxey?
good question. I don't know.
I mean, he was doing all this light.
No, these guys on the bikes don't care. The new thing is they go the wrong way down the bike lane, so that you're going to get crashed into. Jack Maxey, I don't know. He went to Switzerland,
Right.
said he was worried about getting killed. All these guys were like, next week,
Right.
I'm coming out with some information, but I'm worried about getting killed. It's like, okay,
This used to be a good place too, Saigon.
Saigon Market.
My
It doesn't look
brother and father and I came here many times. It was really good.
Yeah, well, it's gone now.
Gone but not forgotten, Jason.
And then one of these places was a farm-to-table Chinese place.
I never knew that. Here?
It was short-lived.
You could do animal farm to table.
This is actually good Mediterranean food.
You could do a chain of restaurants. Animal farm to table. You show up, and they take you and they put you in the basement for 10 years and take out one kidney and throw you in the boonies.
Well, do we know how long
That's
the
a
January
mega
6th?
Garbage. That is like a Rocky Mountain high of garbage. We gotta check this out. I mean,
Do we know how long this January 6th public hearing is going to go on? I thought about maybe going to D.C. for it, but
yeah, I
it
think,
seems like an expensive waste of time.
look at this. How do you have a pile of garbage this big?
They're throwing away a lot of TVs. How you doing? He seemed concerned that we were photographing the garbage.
Books, people are throwing out books.
It's like he's taking it out, and this guy is
Woman.
a woman is going through the cans. Wow. That's not an easy job, collecting
Let's
all
keep
those cans.
going back this way, though. I just wanted to show you the.
Let's do it across the street. I think that,
It's probably a violation to have a pile that big.
well, and I think that's why he was looking at us like concerned that we were recording it, because he's potentially worried we're going to email it to Eric Adams and then he'll do nothing.
Ask every New Yorker to, you see any garbage, take it to the Gracie Mansion. Just put it in front of Gracie Mansion.
Yeah, somebody did that actually for a little while. Dumped a bunch of garbage. Holy cow, it's so hot.
Yeah.
This thing is projecting heat onto us.
Right.
Do you feel that?
I do.
That's a bad design.
Well, maybe it's cheaper than, what are those sunbed things?
You're combining a
Have some food and get cancer.
tanning place with a Greek tavern.
Another idea for business. You set that up and you buy an insurance policy on each customer.
How about the Gentile Gelateria?
And wasn't there a wheat store, I think, in the next block here?
Established 1880, Charles. Are they lucky Chinese or
I don't-
are they
I-
Nazis?
I think that's total bullshit.
What do you mean?
It may have been established somewhere in 1880, but certainly not here.
Yeah, right. What was going on? What's that?
Custom quilts and aprons. Custom
What did she say?
Custom aprons.
Oh, there's huge demand for that.
So, I'm going to dedicate my life to the custom apron.
You know, people are right in that we sort of get into this like, this is a very New York thing. We're just walking around cracking on everybody. But not, no, to hurt their feelings. I mean, it's
And
not.
on that, actually, do you see that Simon Cowell showed his soft side?
What do you
He
mean?
reduced some 12-year-old girl to tears, and he apologized.
It's like purposely ambiguous.
Well,
I actually think if you're going to subject an audience to atrocious performance of any kind, you need a wake-up call. You need to understand there are
agree.
so many. I'm aware of somebody, I'm not going to say who it is, who is a billionaire, but in his youth, he wanted to be a busker, you know. So he went to London and busked. You know, I mean, this guy is one of the richest people.
busk or bust.
But he didn't need to do it for money. He just wanted to have the experience. He loved music.
Okay.
You know, and there are a lot of people like that, whether they're billionaires or not, who have enormous talent. And if you have, I mean, many things I can't tell what's talented or not, but in music, I think I can. And if you're going to go, if your parents, if you're 12, are going to,
They're the ones who need the wake-up call.
They should not. Well, I think they will get this wake-up call. Maybe it was pretty harsh to do it to a 12-year-old girl, but I just think it's interesting.
What is going on there?
America's Got Talent.
America's Got Parrots. Wow, you've got parrots on a leash.
Which one of them is Polly?
What, do they fly away if you don't have the leash? I'm recording
go.
the birds. I love people who do something so bizarre in public, and then they're like, oh no, I want my privacy. Okay. Why don't you tie those birds up in the bathroom if you want privacy?
Right. Well, we weren't.
Oh, this is back open, Charles.
This is a good place.
That's a classic place. That's been there a long time.
I went there with my father years ago.
That's new, though, the outdoor dining.
Yeah, I think it was for Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner. Very good.
Yeah.
They had 2 seatings only.
I was going to say, it reminds me like a little bit of like an LA place.
Yeah.
Almost like a Beverly Hills.
What's that place in Beverly Hills?
Well,
The fancy was there in the 80s, still there.
I don't know. I mean, there's a million.
No, but it's like the Knickerbocker Grill. It's the something.
Maybe Dantana's or something.
No. It's the something grill or the.
I don't know. I'm not
Name will
that.
come to me.
Oh, this is these guys are running the art show there.
Yeah. And there you have another pile of garbage.
You know, that Porsche just drove by us. There was a pretty interesting video I saw where somebody got the new Tesla SUV with the plaid function. and then they raced it against a Porsche 992, which is the fastest Porsche you can get right now.
Right.
But the Tesla had the guy's whole family in it, so it was like 6 people in a Tesla racing the turbo Porsche. The Tesla won.
Wow.
Pretty amazing. So all these people are like, oh, Elon Musk is a fraud. You see, the reason I take umbrage to that is because when he's telling people, oh, you better show up for 40 hours a week, there's certain people that you meet or become aware of, like James Cameron, for instance. He's essentially the Elon Musk of Hollywood, right? He's done things that nobody else could do, pushed the industry to new levels, etc. And then, you know, rumors are, oh, he's a jerk and this and that. But I worked pretty closely with James Cameron's visual effects supervisor, who's the first guy who ever hired James Cameron in Hollywood to be a model builder at, what's that guy, Roger Corman's studio. And
Roger Corman, the actor?
He's a director.
But was he also an actor?
I mean, he's been in things, but he's mostly known as a B-movie director. Roger Corman famously said he could make a gladiator movie with 2 guys, a chariot and a bush. And James Cameron quoted that for the movie Aliens because there was only 3 alien suits for the whole movie, but yet you get the impression that there's an army of aliens because at that time they were relying on like Roger Corman kind of movie making techniques. But the point of the story is, what this guy Chuck told me is that James Cameron is an absolutely awesome guy, right. Super nice. He just cannot suffer fools. And if you cannot do your job on set, he will rip your stuff out of your hands, take your role, fire you. He said if you can't do your role at least as well as Jim can, you're off his set. Because he can do every role in the movie. And these are guys who will stay awake 23 hours a day to get their deal done. So when you start talking about drinking beer and riding skateboards, Jesus Christ, you fucking assholes, get those skateboards out of the park. Yeah, fuck you, you fucking asshole. You just almost crashed into me.
They hit the other guy.
You're hitting people on the boards.
There are 3 of them, Jason.
Let's walk over this way and see where the cops are. Yeah, I'm a pussy as they skate away. Fucking retards on wheels.
They hit the other guy.
The guy hit me.
Did he really?
The point of the matter is, people like Elon Musk, people like James Cameron, you cannot change the world working 22 hours a week. And you don't deserve $30 an hour to do some minimal...
Let's not engage with these guys, okay?
Yeah, no, you're right. Here, let's go this way. I'm with you. I don't want to risk you.
Because now they're in front of their buddies, and you get a swarm of them coming
Yeah,
after
I know.
us.
But, you know, you see what these people are all about, you know?
Right.
He's a coward. He's got his friends with him. He's got a weapon. He's 20 years younger than me, and he's yelling at me as he skates away.
Yeah.
And he's totally in the wrong.
Yeah, he's coming back.
I'm not worried. You're the one who should be worried. Get the bike out of the park. Charles, we're living in a city of assholes.
Yeah. Flaming assholes. What's this guy doing?
My God.
Right next to the kids. Kids are playing next to that.
That's what I'm saying. Where the hell are the cops?
They don't give a shit.
No, they're disgraceful.
So is it safe to say that James Cameron would never let Joe Biden or Hunter Biden do a movie with him?
No, he would. I mean, you know, I don't know him. I can't really say what he would do. James Cameron, in my opinion, at this stage of his career is suffering from yes man syndrome, where he's just surrounded by people who, whatever he wants to do gets done and nobody can criticize it for fear of being fired.
Yeah.
Well, see, what I was saying earlier about there not being skateboarders in the park was perhaps
wrong.
Well,
they're over there.
Just a kind of a premonition of what was to come. But of course, there's no cops here.
Yeah.
You know, They don't even have their sign on.
Well, that's,
Oh, they do.
we're getting ready, of course, for Pride, Pride Month has already started.
That's another thing that, well, I forget who mentioned this. Oh no, it must have been Dugin, that the Ukrainian army has added an LGBTQIA plus. I think there's a 2 in there sometimes. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe somebody wants to drop a deuce on somebody. But that they have some gay LGBTQ, military unit. And Dugin made the point of, pointing out that comes about right at the beginning of Pride Month. I mean, isn't that interesting? And Ukraine is not a country that really supports LGBTQ rights at all.
Well, which is perhaps a problem. But, my whole thing on that is that if you're going to get to the place where you're in a war, you need to remember that war is about inflicting maximum damage on the forces that you're fighting, so that you'll get them to surrender, so you can stop the war. That's the goal. It's not to rewrite their society. It's not to project American values or anything else. You've made a decision that you can't live with this country or whatever,
Right.
and that it's in America's interest, in theory, to go to war. War is horrible. There's nothing good about war. There's no such thing as a just or good war. War sucks. And you get to the place of prosecuting a war when you've exhausted all other reasonable options. And that's why you should think very carefully before you go to war, which of course we don't do.
Well, Joe Biden's unable to think is part of the problem.
Well, yeah, it's one problem, and the other problem is that, of course, our war machine is second to none. It's gigantic. It's Jabba the Hutt on steroids, and it needs to be fed. Speaking of garbage.
Right. The other thing that was interesting is when I was looking at Yakov Applebaum's really good website, it's loaded with information. It's kind of unbelievable. I forget the name of the guy, but there is a Ukrainian oligarch who is an arms dealer.
Oh, sure, more than one.
Well, but this one that he was talking about has some super fancy mansion in Washington, D.C.
Oh, sure.
Where there was an Adam Schiff fundraiser.
I don't doubt it.
But how can you not see that if we're flooding Ukraine with weapons, and then here we have some questionable weapons dealer who's Ukrainian, and we've got Congress people who he's raising money for, and they're the same Congress people who say we want to send $44 billion worth of weapons to Ukraine, where we don't know where they're going. I think it's not that much of a leap to presume that perhaps some of these arms dealers have a way of getting those arms and getting money from it.
Absolutely.
So we're funding a criminal operation.
Yeah, exactly. The government, you could argue, our government has become a criminal operation.
It is. Sorry about that, Charles. I vowed to not yell at anybody today, but that dude crashed right into me.
Yeah, the one who went around me, then snaked around and to change his direction, he hit the guy.
Because those guys don't care about anybody but themselves, and they like the idea that they're pissing people off. The cops aren't there to tell them to get the hell out of here and get a job, or at least get lost.
Right.
And, they grow up with this attitude that they can do whatever they want, be in total violation of the rules and everything. Anything remotely having to do with courtesy. I mean, that's just like a criminal in the making right there.
It's the criminal educational system.
Right.
One and the same. Here we are, Joe Biden's
House.
charity. Here's this guy taking his clothes off. Let's go right by him.
Wow.
And not waste any time. This is just standard. Nothing unusual.
Oh my God, there was a huge run of snot coming out of that
I know,
dude's
that's why I
nose.
wanted to say, if you're in a place where you're deciding it's a good idea to change in broad daylight on a busy street with snot running out of your nose.
There was a foot of snot coming out of that guy's nose.
What a foot-long snot booger.
Oh man,
Go
Charles.
to yoga and watch
not-
this.
it's not-
Get a donut.
It's not pretty.
It is not. And this used to be very busy. 8th Street and 6th Avenue used to be thriving. As a child, I remember coming here. There were many family-type restaurants and interesting stores. And a lot of tourists would come here and buy stuff.
I'm sure I've told you I met Sting in here.
I know. That's where he decided to get into music. He said, "Hey,
No, he
you
was
got the
signing a
name."
book.
Oh,
Book signing event. It was B. Dalton, remember?
yeah.
Now it's Spectrum. Get your cable in there.
I think it's also Panhandlers HQ. What I think it is. Wow, an epic one, Jason. I thought we were.
You know, there was something that was occurring to me when I was walking over to the park to meet you, Charles. You can kind of gauge what's going on a little bit by, this speaks to the whole concept of free markets and how, you know, the government trying to fix stuff doesn't work and the market just reacts and kind of evolves. I think I've told you that in 2007-ish, I was noticing there's just so many banks opening and it just seemed weird. And I didn't know anything about the coming financial crisis, but I just observed the huge number of banks. So now I see we have a huge number of medical things opening. And on 5th Avenue, when I was walking over to see you, they have a thing called V-Spot, Women's Intimate Health. And I was thinking about all these Pfizer reports that are getting revealed that are talking about the different effects on menstruation and lactation. And I thought that's kind of strange that a women's health thing is opening on 5th Avenue.
Well, not to mention miscarriages.
That's what I mean. So it seems focused on, when you hear women's health, I mean, I'm thinking that type of stuff. And it was just a strange thing to see. But anyway, Charles, this has been quite a walk today.
It has been. It's great to be
Anything else you
back.
want to cover?
No, it's great to be back. A beautiful day. We'll see how long we hold off the humidity. But,
Yeah, that's the key.
Coming up on Flag Day, a week from
June 14th,
right.
Donald Trump's birthday.
I know.
This year will be the 5th anniversary of the stupid Mario Brothers hoax in the port of Charleston. They seem to think that I created that hoax, which is weird because them and everybody they know are the ones who told me it was happening. So I don't know how that logic works, but we'll save that for another day. I really do hope, Charles, that people will become sponsors on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. It helps me a lot. And I would not have been able to continue doing the show for 5 years, even these free shows with you, if people didn't sponsor on Subscribestar and Patreon. So please go there, become a sponsor. It was a great show yesterday with Lee Stranahan. And his voice is coming back. It was important stuff he was telling us about yesterday. So I hope people will watch that. Have a great Sunday night. And let's see what happens tomorrow with the January. Is it tomorrow the January 6th thing
I
started?
don't know if it's tomorrow. And also today is National Thank You Day.
Well, thank you, Charles, for that.
Thank everybody.
Thank you for reminding us of that. And thank you all for being sponsors, for watching the show, and all of that. Have a nice day.